started. So first off, thanks everybody for coming to, this is the second Ureeka Connect that we've had. As many of you know, Ureeka Connect is a virtual, basically a virtual competition where we are connecting some of the best, most investment-ready entrepreneurs and companies in the Ureeka community and making sure that they are connected with mission-aligned investors. Each Ureeka Connect has a different theme. Sometimes it's consumer products like this one. Sometimes it's, oh, and I think we've got Melissa back now. Yep, we got Melissa back on. So good timing.
And I apologize, my entire computer just froze. So I just want to double down on what Dave said to say thank you for joining us. We are very proud of this program. And as we talk a little bit about its origins, I do want to give a special shout out to Dave, who has gotten us this far. Mr. Wilson has been instrumental in getting this program off the ground, and we are deeply grateful. As I'm sure he mentioned, this program is invaluable because it provides an opportunity for investors to meet with entrepreneurs that maybe they would have found anyway, but more than likely they would not have. And so we're thrilled that we are able to move them forward. If we go to the next slide, I want to be able to let you know that while this is a very important topic, it's something that we're deeply committed to, and I would love to share the results of what happened during our first session on February 18th. We had 5 entrepreneurs and 5 investors join us. And the way Ureeka Connect works is that the entrepreneurs get a chance to pitch, which you'll hear tonight. They have 7 minutes. And then the investors get the chance to ask questions. And I'm thrilled that this time you'll get a chance to ask questions as the audience, because we've built in some polls so that you get to engage and give us your thoughts. But what happened last time is that the entrepreneurs, we had 100% match rate. And what that means is that investors can be interested and say, we want to match. And if they're not, they can say they want to pass, and they provide valuable feedback to the entrepreneur. But we are thrilled and hope to continue that success tonight, that we had 100% match rate last time, and hope to be able to tell you next time the success that those entrepreneurs have gone on to have. So I don't know about you, but I'm ready to get started. And again, I apologize for the technical glitches. I guess coronavirus has taken over my laptop as well. I'm thrilled to have us meet the investors, Swan and Legend. I have to say internally, we keep saying Swan and Lake, but we were committed to getting it right tonight. We are joined by both Nick and Max. And I don't know if you gentlemen want to say a few words before we get started, but we are thrilled to have you here.
Yeah, no, Melissa, thank you very much. Welcome back, by the way. Nice to meet all of you. Just a quick intro. I've been with Swan for about 6 years. Work on a lot of new deal origination and analysis. We work with portfolio companies after we invest for a number of topics, and just great to meet all of you, and thanks for letting us join.
Awesome.
And I've been with Swan for a little under a year. And Nick's kind of been my mentor, and just really appreciate the opportunity and looking forward to it.
Awesome. So tonight we have an opportunity, as I said, to hear some amazing entrepreneurs, and the rules are relatively simple. They will get 7 minutes to present, and then there'll be a series of Q&A. We will ask you to join us with an audience poll, and then at the end, we'll get a chance to hear from you who you think did a great job tonight. So I'm ready and proud to say that today we have Wellfound Foods, Jimmy Bar, Honeyfund, and Glamlite. So I don't know about you, but entrepreneurs, if you're ready, let's get started. If you're joining us now, remember that Ureeka Connect is one of the many programs that we offer, and we hope that you'll continue to join us during the session and certainly thereafter. I turn it over to our first presenter. So first up is someone that I've had the pleasure to experience the food and experience some of the new experiences that she's taking off in the DMV area and eventually beyond. Proud to present Sarah from Wellfound Foods.
Hi, everybody. All right, I got the slides up. First off, thank you everybody for being here this afternoon. My name, as Melissa said, is Sarah Frimpong, and I'm the CEO and founder of Wellfound. Wellfound is grounded in a really simple idea. We believe that people should not have to compromise quality for convenience. Specifically, what Wellfound does is we make and manufacture modern grab-and-go food for wholesale distribution to retailers and for retail distribution to our company-owned, tech-enabled, contactless vending machines. We've been around for about 7 years now. We produce over 7,000 meals and snacks a week. And in 2019, we did 1.3 million in revenue to clients that include national brands like Pete's Coffee and Tea and WeWork, as well as local institutions like American University. We have raised $200,000 of capital to date. So you've been there. You have been maybe in an airport terminal or a hospital waiting room when hunger struck. And the only options that were available to you were going to have what I'm describing as a negative impact on your health's bottom line for that day. The truth is you are not alone. In fact, 63% of Americans say that they're trying to eat healthier, and 73% say that eating right is a challenge. That is the problem that we're working to solve at Wellfound. And we believe the solution to that problem is the Wellfound Smart Fridge. The Wellfound Smart Fridge is at its core a 24/7 tech-enabled fresh food restaurant. It takes the vending machine and it uses modern technology to increase access to fresh food in areas where fresh food has not been as accessible before. Our Smart Fridge is positioned at the center of two major markets. The first market is the fast casual market. That is characterized by fresh and healthy food. The second market is the vending machine market, which is characterized by overly processed junk. The vending machine market is stagnant. In fact, the only segment that's growing in that market is fresh food. And that is only a 9.3% piece of that 7 billion in revenue. For that reason, we believe that there is a massive opportunity that exists for companies that can take the trends of the fast casual market and translate it to the vending machine market. The fresh food market at this point is in its very early stages. It has really only one major player, Farmer's Fridge, and other entrants into the market have only been operating since late 2018, early 2019, and have less than 50 fridges each deployed. Wellfound Foods is the only fresh food company operating in our region here in the DMV. Thank you. So we believe the immediate market opportunity here in the DMV is worth $12 million or about 210 fridges. We got to that number with two approaches. The first approach is what I call the Farmer's Fridge approach. What we did to figure out that number is we looked how many fridges Farmers has deployed in their home market of Chicago. With that, we were able to figure out what the fridges per capita were, and we applied that ratio to the DMV. The second approach we used was a little bit more targeted. For that approach, we looked at what I call the high placement verticals. So those are verticals like transportation, which includes airports and train stations, healthcare, higher education, and then commercial real estate. Based on those kinds of locations in the DMV, we determined about how many fridges each of those kinds of locations could support. And with those two approaches, I should say, we ended at understanding that this region can support about 210 fridges, which is worth about 12 million in revenue. So we currently have 3 fridges deployed. One of our fridges at Georgetown MedStar Hospital has been in the market since September of last year. That fridge is currently achieving a 38% gross margin and doing just a little under $900 a week in average revenue. And that is with no resources really devoted towards increasing marketing and driving sales or increasing efficiency to further improve that gross margin. We are going to be using the money that we're raising right now to improve our unit economics. Specifically, with the money that we're raising at this point, we're going to be able to increase our gross margin of 51% through investing in improving our product waste, as well as bringing our distribution in-house. Also through engaging in simple marketing techniques like email marketing. We believe that we can also increase our weekly revenue at a machine. Our team is really excited about this opportunity because the unit economics just make sense. A single fridge in the field pays for itself in 7 months, and a fridge has an 146% internal rate of return. Our goal in year 1, which is 2020, is to place 21 fridges in the market. With these fridges, we want to place them across different verticals to really create a strong foundation from which in years 2 and 3, we can saturate the market and place those full 210 fridges. After year 3, in years 4 and 5, once we've owned the local market, our strategy is to continue expanding south into Raleigh, Charlotte, and the Atlantic markets, really through working through our centralized kitchen. And from there, we plan to expand north through the Mid-Atlantic into Philadelphia, New Jersey, and of course, New York. Our company is uniquely positioned to be a second mover in the fresh food vending opportunity nationally, and a first mover here regionally. Having operated for 7 years as a wholesale maker and distributor, we've proven product market fit. We have the production capacity to rapidly realize this opportunity, and our hybrid direct-to-consumer or vending machine and wholesale model means that we are going to rapidly realize economies of scale that anybody else who tries to do this in this region simply won't be able to do as quickly. Our team is led by myself. I started the company, and I have grown and expanded us into national brands and partnerships. I'm supported by our director of operations, who has a background in food manufacturing as well as fast casual. And finally, we're advised by Jonas Singer. Jonas has over 15 years of experience scaling and growing CPG brands and is a co-founder of the popular Union Kitchen Food Accelerator. The money that we're raising today is going to go towards placing the 21 fridges that I mentioned by the end of this year. That's going to set the solid foundation for reaching the immediate market opportunity in years 2 and 3. It's also going to go towards bringing our distribution in-house, which is going to improve our unit economics and our gross margin. And it's also going to go towards developing and putting into the field an allocation algorithm. The allocation algorithm is essentially going to enable us to say, or to ensure that every single item our kitchen produces is sent to the fridge at which it has the highest likelihood of selling. We are raising $650,000 total. We're doing that via convertible notes. And as mentioned, those funds are going to go towards our fridges, operating capital, bringing our distribution in-house to improve our unit economics, as well as investing in the allocation algorithm to also improve our unit economics. All of this to set a really solid foundation for us to scale and grow in years 2 and 3 and reach that full market saturation and the full immediate market opportunity. And that is my presentation. Thank you guys so much for your consideration, and I am looking forward to answering your questions.
Thank you very much, Sarah. You just made it, so we are glad to hear that. I'm going to open it up to Nick and Max and see if you all have any questions for Sarah.
Yeah, Sarah, great to meet you, by the way. Thank you for that. That was very succinct.
Thank you.
Hey, so I know we have only 5 minutes, but and Max, obviously, you chime in whenever you'd like. But just if you go back to the very beginning, so what was kind of the impetus for starting the business, or how did you roll into the business? And it didn't start with vending machines, right? It started kind of more of a wholesale business that has now become kind of vending machine centric. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for the last 7 years, we've been solely focused on manufacturing, distributing modern grab-and-go food to our wholesale partners. So we did start in wholesale. The impetus for me, frankly, was that I knew I wanted to start a great business. I knew that I wanted to start a food business. I originally was going to do a fast casual company, but in kind of beginning to start that process, I realized that, one, I didn't have the capital, but two, there are a lot of really great fast casuals in the city. And what I realized was that for grab-and-go food, there weren't a lot of modern options that fit how me and my friends like to eat. And so for that reason, a capital reason, and just kind of seeing an opportunity, we started doing grab-and-go. We just started with sandwiches to begin, and since then we've expanded to side salads, breakfast bowls like overnight oats and chia pudding. We do snack boxes now, and we also just launched grain bowls and entree-style salads, all in the grab-and-go format.
And was there any, spark that went off that kind of like allowed you or made you think about the vending machine route? Do you kind of view the vending machine as supplemental to your existing business? Do you think it ultimately replaces your existing business? Or I guess, how do you view the two kind of in tandem over time?
Yeah, I mean, they certainly feed off of each other because the product is all made in the same centralized kitchen with the same processes. For context, our wholesale business operates 364 days a year. And so we have the capacity to produce and send out food every single day. And so in terms of how they work together, we're able to be more efficient because we have the wholesale volume. I do see the fridges, frankly, driving the business. The margin there is better because we're clearly becoming our own customer, right? So that makes a lot of sense for us.
Got it. Can you talk a little bit about, I know you have mentioned in the deck kind of a few places, but in terms of real estate, kind of where you are envisioning putting these things, why you want to put them there, and also given the location, are there any agreements with the landlords in terms of like a rev share, or is there a rent payment? Do they just like you because they offer a nicer amenity to their customers, or how does that all kind of come about?
Yeah, so we currently have a machine placed at Georgetown MedStar Hospital. We had a machine, I should say, or two machines at Convention Center, as well as one at George Mason University. So in terms of where they go, it's those high value verticals, which I see as being healthcare, higher education, transportation hubs, which we haven't tapped into yet, and then commercial real estate and event spaces like Convention Center. Our agreements with these places really vary, and they depend on what value the client or the location sees in having your machine there. So at some locations, they see it as a service, like you mentioned, and they say, put the machine here, give people 24/7 access to fresh food. Thank you so much. Other places say, okay, we're going to do a revenue share with you and treat you more like a standard vending machine company. And you'll do that kind of deal, but it really depends on who you're talking to and the value they see as you bring them to the table.
What venue do you like the most? Or if you had a cherry pick and they were all in the same city?
If I had to cherry pick, I think right now in terms of need and value, healthcare makes the most sense. The really great thing about these machines is that they are small footprint and they're mobile. So if a location doesn't make sense, you can move it. That being said, right now we found that, locations at higher education don't make sense. Students are going home, but there's a really great need as doctors and nurses and staff are working overtime trying to take care of people and keep them healthy, where their cafeterias are going to close, and there's a chance for us to support by putting a machine in those locations. So we're actually actively working on reorganizing the assets that we have, our current inventory, to be able to meet that need for folks.
So would you say that you're probably seeing the best results in areas that have less, I guess, direct competition, less food offerings in your vicinity? Is it kind of the convenience, the healthy convenience factor? Does that make sense? Or is it other factors?
It's the health factor, it's the convenience factor. One really great story I like to tell is our placement at Georgetown MedStar Hospital. So the day that we launched our machine there was Fried Chicken Wednesday. So there were folks lining up for fried chicken at the hospital. There were also people lining up at our vending machine. And what they were saying, what they really liked about it was the fact that it was healthy food. So, when there's another option that's offering you hot food, people are choosing us because we're healthy. At the same time, I have the data, which is really cool. This thing is connected to the cloud, and I'm able to see that people are buying salads at 2 a.m, which means that it's also convenient and healthy. So I do think the two play together. It's just probably looking a little more closely at the day part and maybe the individual's motivations for coming to the machine. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I got you. By the way, I thought at first you said you guys were selling fried chicken.
No.
which last time I checked isn't that healthy.
Maybe if you air fried or something, but no, we're not selling fried chicken.
It is all relative, but depending on where you live, I think it could be the healthiest thing ever.
You know what? That's a good point.
I hate to cut you off, but time is up. But I did want to see if Max wanted to get in a last question before we move on. To be fair.
Yeah, I was just curious how your product mix, if it's going to evolve over time, or you think that your current selection is great and people love it how it is.
That's a really good question. So I do see the product selection evolving over time. For context, we make 23 unique items every single day in our kitchen, 364 days a year. And we still get feedback from folks that they'd like to see more variety sometimes. So what we plan to do is to create monthly specials, very much like what you would see on a menu board. What's really great about the monthly specials is, one, it gives us a chance to reach out to the customer via email and tell them that there's something new at the fridge. But two, depending on what we see in the sales and what we learn about how that product performs, we can loop that back into our wholesale business, which is going to, help that create more revenue on that side as well with products that already have product market fit, kind of.
Great. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, Sarah.
Appreciate it. And the chat is going great. We have people who've worked in the hospital before. and they know it's not healthy. So this is awesome. So congratulations and thank you. And of course, as always, you're making us all very hungry. Next up, please let's go to the next set of slides, please. Thank you. And as you can see, the 7 minutes and the 5 minutes goes very fast. So thank you for your patience and forgive me for jumping in and cutting you all off. So next up, we have another company. I'm sorry, I'm just waiting for the slides to advance so that the entrepreneur is ready. Before we do that, we want to actually give a chance for those of you who are actively in chat to be able to answer the question. And so, George, why don't you tell us what the question is?
Yeah, so everybody who's in the audience should be able to see a poll where it says, for Wellfound Foods, would you recommend this company to an investor? And it's a little pop-up on the front of your screen. And then feel free, we're going to give it another 45 seconds to just choose yes or no.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate that. So this by no means is meant to replace all the activity that we have in chat, which I love, but an opportunity to get your feedback as well and get you involved.
We'll give it 10 more seconds. Cool. All right, and then that'll end the poll, and we're going to advance to the next entrepreneur.
Awesome. So we're going to stick with food, and we finally have some Midwest representation. So thrilled to have Jimmy Bar with us. So Jimmy, take it away.
Well, all right. So and I do not have access to driving on the PDF. So I'll just say next when I'm ready, if that's cool. Well, first of all, thank you, everybody, for listening and for the previous presentation. It was terrific. Just like the previous presentation, Jimmy Bar was born out of frustration for the lack of healthy food out there in the food chain network. I started the company in 2014, really as a side hustle, just for fun. I was in technology. And when you would go into Google and Facebook and Uber and Oracle and all these big places, they would have what's called micro kitchens. The micro kitchens were always stocked with really cool brands, not Fritos, Doritos, Cheetos, and Diet Coke, or cool brands you've never heard of. And then from there, I thought, you know what, my next business I want to be in a tangible product, and I want it to be in food. So I've always had sort of a passion for food, and then I wanted to be healthy. And so, you know, fast forward a little bit, watching way too many Netflix videos on the evils of the food business and the fact that 99% of the food innovation, you know, since, you know, for the past 50 years has not been particularly good for us. I decided to launch a product. And I was going back and forth, whether it be chips or bars or whatever. Bars have always been fairly ubiquitous. So I decided on a bar, didn't really take it that seriously, emailed to all my friends and family saying, what should I call this thing I created? And my little niece, who was 8 years old at the time, said, call it the Uncle Dummy Bar, which, because she calls me Uncle Dummy. And I thought, well, that's kind of funny, but I don't know if I want on my card, I'm Uncle Dummy. So she decided to call it Jimmy Bar, which I thought was fun, and it's kind of all-American, and hence that's how the name got there. 2014 to 2015, 16, 17, my go-to-market was selling strictly through food service, which is kind of an unusual channel selection. So I got the bars into Facebook, LinkedIn, Google, Oracle, Intel, most of the big technology firms in Silicon Valley, because I knew them and I had relationships with them. I went into call on grocery because we're Chicago-based, you know, like Treasure Island and Sunset, et cetera, and was sort of shocked to realize how what's a good word for it? You know, how inadequate the food chain network was, meaning you've got brokers that you go to get you the meetings, you've got distributors that take the 25%, the brokers take the 5%. You get into retailers. A lot of the retailers are not on the up and up, so they're going to nickel and dime you to death. And by the time the consumer gets the product, they're paying way too much for it. So from there, I said, you know what, grocery is kind of a business I'm not interested in right now, plus it's dying. I wanted to do more direct-to-consumer. I wanted to stay in the alternative channels like food service, et cetera, and so that's what we did. So go-to-market up to about 2017, we were mostly food service. We were doing about 1.4 million, which was decent, and we were profitable. But the bar was a date-based bar. So think of like a Lara bar, a crunchy Lara bar. We managed to get into Whole Foods regionally in Chicagoland, did pretty well. And my sister was my co-founder, and she's a classically trained chef and restaurateur. And she kept telling me, Jim, you know, we have a problem. Is when we're doing demo at Whole Foods, people are saying we have too much sugar, which struck me as odd because our sugar was dates and it was from fruit and it was from bananas, et cetera. It's a completely clean product. She said, no one cares. They want high protein and low sugar. This is when Quest Bar and One Bar was going through the roof. You know, Quest Bar ultimately sold for $1 billion this year, and One Bar sold for $400 million. So people want high protein, low sugar, and how they get there is sort of less important. So we pivoted dramatically in 2018 and went to a high protein, low sugar bar. And that's our roster of bars now. With the mandate, we're going to be as clean as we can. It's got to taste really good. And it's kind of the secret weapon we have is we have 3 chefs on staff. We're vertically integrated, which means we own our own co-packer, which is very unusual. I went through 5 co-packers in 4 years, and after that, I said, you know what, we're going to start our own co-packer. Co-packer's called Nettie's Kitchen, separate C Corp. Jimmy Bar has ownership in it, as well as we have other owners, myself included, but we essentially self-manufacture. That is a huge benefit to any bar company because bars being so popular, it's hard to get line time if you're a small brand.
Jimmy,
from there, we launched. Yeah.
Jimmy, I've stopped the clock. I just want to make sure you're not telling us to advance the slides, and I just want to make sure you got about 3 minutes left, and so I just want to make sure I'm sorry to interrupt your rhythm, but we're not moving.
Advance the slide. Advance the slide. I was on a roll.
I'm sorry. I just didn't want to. Your soundtrack is awesome, but I didn't want to miss out on your slide, so I will
advance the next slide.
Okay.
Okay. So what was missing in the market of bars was a couple of things. A, bars tended to be male-focused and very macho. Quest, Supreme, One Bar, all meant for men. I decided to do something different. That is, let's make bars that are more female-focused. Let's use light blue wrappers, like this Tiffany blue wrapper that you see, which blue has always been a appetite repressant and kind of a no-no in CPG. But I thought, hey, I don't know, I'm not a CPG guy, so let's go against the grain. And C, let's be the Ben & Jerry's of bars. Let's be kind of fun and light and whimsical. You do not have to spend your life in the gym or pretend to be to eat bars. Bars is just a meal replacement and supposed to be healthy. So we skew heavily female and we skew heavily millennial, which is sort of interesting in the market. Next, please. Okay. So what we launched last year rather, is functional bars, something that's never really been done before. It's a subcategory that we own. You have functional drinks like Gatorade, and now there's a tea and a soft drink for literally everything that you want. If you want to be mellow, there's a tea or a drink for it. If you want to be hyper, there's Monster and a bunch of those. But it didn't exist in bars. And so what we decided to do was, let's come up with a bar where a consumer eats for a specific use case. For example, Eye of the Tiger, which is a licensing deal I did because I'm buddies with the guy from the band Survivor who wrote the song for Sly Stallone. Eye of the Tiger is 25 grams of protein. It has turmeric for recovery, and it has guarana seed caffeine, which is a caffeine from a seed in Brazil that makes you very alert and focused. It's been a knockout. It's our #1 seller at Amazon. Wake It Up. It has the guarana seed caffeine with coffee flavoring. Wake and Focus is a bar I wanted to come up with. Again, we're very tongue-in-cheek and funny. I wanted to come up with a bar that does essentially what an Adderall does, but healthy for you, for college kids, because we've got a huge college following. So guanosine, caffeine, MCT for brain health, omega-3s for brain health. It's a great tasting bar. Again, we're always taste forward because we have 3 chefs on staff. Our beauty bar is a bar with collagen protein. And if anybody's following CPG, collagen is red hot, and there are brands that are exploding that have collagen. So again, a bar for a use case. Keto, which is now our #1 bar, is a diet bar. People eat, the keto diet has exploded, and we managed to get this bar into about 15 locations. All of our bars collectively are about 16,000 locations, and our channel selection is C-store, about 30% of our business. Online is about 30% of our business. Grocery we're avoiding, although we are in Publix and Jewel and a few other locations. And then places like TJ Maxx, Marshalls, Costco World Market. We're doing a rotation right now in Costco. We're going into Costco Australia. Next slide, please.
And I'm sorry, Jimmy, that is time.
Is there next slide?
Jimmy, that is time.
Oh, that's time. Okay.
Sorry
Here's
about that.
basically our logo map of where we are. No worries.
So I will turn it over to the representatives from Swan and Legend and have Nick and Max ask you some questions.
Great, thanks. Hey, Jimmy, nice to meet you. Thank you very much. Hey, I'm interested in, I guess, this slide, particularly the retailers. So can you talk a little bit about, amongst this list, who you kind of like the best, who you don't like the best, who do you think is kind of core for your target customer, you know, and just talk about kind of the differences amongst them and who you're finding success with?
Yep, we love 2 channels. We love C-store and we love online. My least favorite is grocery. Why? Because of the cost. The dirty secret of CPG, as I'm sure you know, Nick, and everybody on the call knows, is slotting fees. So in order to get into Albertsons or get into most of grocery stores, you're going to have to pay slotting fees. So because I did not raise a lot of money and I self-funded and then I did friends and family, I couldn't afford to pay $200,000 to get into Kroger's. So we went to C-stores. C-stores are actually looking for innovation, which is the opposite of even Whole Foods. So probably my favorite account right now is Wawa. Wawa is hammering through our keto bar and our other bars. It's doing extremely well. Sheetz, Racetrack, Walgreens, and CVS do quite well as well. And then on the food service side, TJ Maxx, believe it or not, does incredibly well. Marshalls, and then Amazon probably by the end of the year will be our biggest customer.
Got it. And given that you said this was your first stint with CPG, this company, and prior you were in tech, do you have a team surrounding kind of the wholesale accounts? I'm sorry, you cut out there. You cut out there. What would you say?
It's a 6 company I've started to run, but it's my first in CPG.
Got it. So you have a whole retail team kind of behind this, managing a lot of these things?
Yeah, so we use a company called Advantage, which is the largest food brokerage firm in the world. They handle our C-store, our drug, and our mass. And then we have collectively a lot of regional players who handle our grocery and our food service. I have 4 sales reps, and then I've got 2 internal staff, 1 marketing, 1 social media. And then on our co-packer side, which is a separate C-corp, we probably have about 18 staff right now. Now, again, that's run on its own P&L, so it's separate from Jimmy Bars, but it is kind of a secret weapon to have, you know, our own co-packer that manufactures for us.
Yep. And so you mentioned kind of social media there, but on the online business, which you said you like, so can you talk a little bit about how the acquisition costs have changed over time? Are you primarily doing things on Facebook and Google? Is that going to continue?
Mostly Facebook. We spend the most on Amazon ads. So right now our ROAS is about 3 to 1. So if we're going to spend, you know, $10,000, we're going to get $30,000 back. On Amazon also, we have about 450 that are on their subscription program. So it automatically re-ups every month. On jimmybars.com, which, you know, Amazon will probably do $85,000 this month. Jimmybars.com does about $10,000. So we spend the majority of our money on Amazon ads. The company this year will do about 6 million, maybe 6.5 million total, and we'll be profitable. And our blended margin this year will be 64%, more online, you know, up to about 79%, less when we're talking about people like Costco, which our margins will go down to about 29%.
That's a big range.
It is, you know, Costco, but then put it this way, I've been on the phone with Costco Australia at one morning to a kind of time difference. Costco Australia is doing a test with us right now for 10 pallets, which is about $80,000. If it goes well, they'll send us a PO for $800,000. So you take the hit in margin, it's still profitable for us, but the volume is fantastic.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Got it. Max, did you have anything?
Yeah, so on the subscription side of the business, could you just give a little more detail about maybe customer attrition, how long people are staying subscribed for?
Yeah, so on the Amazon side, I don't have a lot of data because it's relatively new, but right now we have 90% people who subscribe at Amazon stay at Amazon, but the data is not, you know, mathematically relevant because it's only 120 days. On the Jimmy Bar side, 65% of the people who are still subscribers, which is terrific. On the Jimmy Bar side, as far as click to buy, we're about 12%, which is pretty good. You know, people come to the website, tend to buy. It's really the only reason to come to the website is to sniff around and buy.
Is the 65% over what period of time is that?
That's 1 year.
Okay.
We launched it last year.
Great.
Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate it. Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jimmy.
It's always good to learn new things about everybody. I wonder what your sales would have been, which are extremely impressive right now if you had stuck with the original name. So it's good to know you made a change. We're going to ask you the same question in the poll. Would you recommend this company to an investor? We'll give you a little bit more time. Appreciate that. Thank you again, Jimmy. I'm almost inspired to be healthy, so thank you to Sarah and Jimmy.
By the way, anybody who wants samples, I'll send to. I'll send you samples for free.
I love it. Now be careful now, because all of us are trying to stockpile. You don't want your bars to be like toilet paper, at least the free ones anyway. So we appreciate that. Thank you. In chat, if you want to get some free samples from Jimmy. Next up, we're going to have Sarah from Honeyfund. There's a joke I'm sure that people have seen on the web and probably in your remote offices that say one thing is guaranteed for sure is we're going to have a whole bunch of babies probably 9 months from now. Maybe we'll have some weddings as well, but thrilled to introduce Sarah to tell us all about Honeyfund. So welcome, Sarah.
Thank you, Melissa. Hello, everybody. I'm Sarah Margolis, founder and CEO of Honeyfund. If you haven't heard of Honeyfund, you've been living under a rock, or you don't watch Shark Tank. We're actually the #1 most trusted honeymoon registry since 2006. This is a place where wedding guests contribute to a couple's dream honeymoon instead of traditional gifts. And as I said, we were on Shark Tank in 2014. We had a winning appearance, partnership with Kevin O'Leary, and many subsequent appearances after that on the show. My co-founder and I started our own makeshift honey fund for our own wedding in 2005 when we lived together and we had all the stuff, and our wedding guests loved it, and we created Honeyfund for other couples. And now we've served more than 1 million couples, million weddings later, 625 million in gifts raised. Everyday couples are loving it too, to the tune of about 100,000 weddings per year. The wedding industry is huge business. Total industry size about 158 billion when you account for weddings wedding gifts, honeymoons, and all the guest travel to weddings, which is about 80 billion annually. So this is a huge, huge market. It has some big players, and it's absolutely a feeding frenzy. So much so that you see industry headlines like these: cash in on I do, 43 business ideas for wedding vendors, and headlines like this woman set out to own your wedding. The industry even inflates the average cost of a wedding, reporting inflated costs to encourage more spending. And that really results in a lot of stress and overwhelm for brides and grooms. They are, fighting amongst each other and amongst family. They're overspending their budgets. They're starting their marriages off on the wrong financial footing, and this is what the industry wants. On top of that, culturally and as an industry, the weddings has always been about things. And things like, what dishes and towels should we register for? Do we need a Vitamix? Should we spend $20 on custom wedding favors? It just results in a whole lot of overwhelm. Honeyfund has actually been the antidote to all of this stress and this fixation on things for nearly 14 years. And with this brand identity, we've dominated honeymoon registries because we recognized early on a shift away from all the things and the FOMO and the stress of weddings and into experiences. And what better experience than your dream honeymoon? So now we're meeting a generation 14 years later of wedding couples entering the market who are millennials, and they're overwhelmingly about life experiences more than things. They're about travel, they're about living adventurously, and they're financially savvy. But the wedding industry hasn't made that shift away from things. And that's why we think that now is a great time for us to take what we've done with honeymoon funds and expand the brand into the wedding market. Namely, we want to take our brand leadership and our expertise in making memorable, once-in-a-lifetime honeymoon adventures happen and apply it to weddings. So I'm going to tell you all about how we're going to do that, but first I want to talk to you about the numbers that matter in our business and in the wedding industry. The first, let me advance my slides over here. The first most important big KPI we need to talk about is giving volume. This is a chart of Honeyfund's giving volume up here in the upper left for the past 4 years and our 2020 trend. As you can imagine, there's quite a story behind these bars. In the years 17 to 19, things didn't go well. And I won't go into all the details, but in a nutshell, we were a husband-wife team who started and built this company, and we split up in 2018. My ex ran product, and frankly, we didn't evolve the product in those 2 years. And, as you can imagine, focus tends to be fractured in the process of a divorce, which in our case involved not just untangling our lives, but also splitting a business. And frankly, that just hurt us. It took me the better part of a year to wrestle the company away from him, but the result is that I now own 96.5% of the company, and I took over product a year ago. In that year, I have arrested the giving volume decline. And this data point here, this February of 2020, is our first indication that our giving volume is actually increasing year over year. Let me tell you, that feels good. So the second number I want to talk about is revenue per couple. This is something that we actually have always been good at, and we managed to be good at through those hard years. And you can see from 17 to 18, we bumped that up significantly from about $12 to $17 per couple that signs up for the site. And let me tell you a little bit more about what's behind that. We introduced gift cards onto the registries in 2017 and fully realized that opportunity in 18. About 15% of our giving volume is given as gift cards, and that increased our margin on that giving volume from less than 0.5% to about 3.4% on the overall total giving volume. So that was a huge game changer. And the key now for us is customer engagement and retention. That's what's going to bump our number up to that 2020 trend line, which is over $25, about $27. And we're doing that with leveraging our customer support staff to call, email, and text users. Sorry, I didn't advance over here. This is our revenue per couple number. So the impact of this 2020 green line on giving volume is here. Our 2020 trend, we're on track to double our giving volume from 19 to 20. But that's not really what today's opportunity is about. As you know, it's about taking this model and applying it to weddings. So let's dive in there. How am I doing on time?
You have 1 minute left.
All right. So this is the Wedding Fund. It's a new type of wedding website. It's in development right now, and it is cash powered. So couples who come to our site can sign up for funding towards their wedding, invite their closest friends and family who are already going to contribute. And we already have about 48% of respondents on our Instagram said they would take advantage of this kind of a thing. We also have couples already doing it with Honeyfund. And it has a quadruple benefit to the company. It not only attracts couples earlier in their planning cycle, announcing their engagement and inviting their closest people to help contribute to the wedding. It's a sticky feature, which improves retention. It increases giving volume because we have a whole new category of funding going through the site. And it gives us earlier cash flow in the wedding season. Right now we are slaves to those big wedding volume months. So this is what 2020 looks like when we execute the Wedding Fund. Which doubles again the opportunity that we're looking at for the 2020 trend. And, you know, I want to pause here and just address the elephant in the room. The coronavirus is impacting weddings. People are canceling their weddings. But you know, what are they doing instead? They're spending time together at home. They're making memories with each other. They're being reminded of what really matters. They're making babies, as Melissa said. And it's odd to say, but the reality is that when our coronavirus curve flattens and life is back to normal, all the weddings that have been postponed are going to come rushing in, and we'll be ready to meet them with this product, which is not only going to be everything they've always wanted, but even more reinforced because they need more money to execute delayed and postponed weddings. So it actually is, in an odd way, a very ideal time for us to launch this service.
Thank you, Sarah.
All right, here's my use of proceeds. You can read through it while you ask me questions.
Awesome. I love that. I love that. Thank you so much, Sarah. I appreciate it. And always want to acknowledge when entrepreneurs are vulnerable and share personal stories. So thank you very much for sharing your story. I'm going to turn it over to Nick and Max to ask questions.
Hello, great to meet you. Thank you very much for that.
Sure, nice to meet you.
The first place I'd love to ask you about is competition.
Yep.
And how you view competition. I mean, I think there's obviously some direct competitors such as like Traveler's Joy and people who kind of promote the honeymoon fund, but
yep.
even folks like The Knot or kind of indirect businesses that are going after the same kind of customer in their life journey.
Yep.
Do you view them as competition, as potential partners, as lead acquisition? Can you kind of talk about that landscape?
Yeah, so we see the big wedding players. So we dominate honeymoon registry. Travelers Joy. Nobody raises more than we do. The wedding space, the larger wedding space, the competition is Zola and The Knot, which recently merged with Wedding Wire, and we are taking them head on, getting into the wedding space and creating wedding websites that are really about helping couples fund their dream. Ancillary to all that is content and support that helps the couple plan a wedding on a realistic budget and removes them from that FOMO universe that I was talking about, the wedding industry of things. So that's how we plan to compete.
Yeah. So basically, do you view kind of like competing with the Knots of the world head on first to get that consumer prior
yes.
to, obviously, like that obviously is top of the funnel.
At the point of engagement.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's why our wedding website is created to help couples like first announce their engagement and invite their close friends and family in to help them figure out how to fund it. Then they're hooked into Honeyfund, and we help them usher them through the wedding planning phase.
Okay. And when you say that's kind of the specific differentiator from The Knot,
yes.
kind of even earlier on getting them involved?
Exactly.
And
so yeah, when you go to The Knot, you can't create a wedding website until you have all your details. You have to have your wedding date and your location and then your blah, 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 your wedding party. You know, it's an overwhelming thing. Our page will be designed to let you just announce your engagement and post a video of it. And it's always cash powered and ready for your friends and family to come and congratulate you or pitch in to help make it happen.
Yep. So today, for just the honeymoon business, where does a lot of your customers come from, or how do you acquire the customers?
We acquire them through word of mouth. Every couple that signs up, you know, if they stick with the service, we'll invite 150 of their closest friends and family to the page. That's traditionally been our bread and butter marketing, just creating a delightful experience for givers. But we do advertise on AdWords mainly, and have been working through Facebook and Instagram for the last couple years. And our customer acquisition cost is about $636 on this slide.
And what is, can you talk a little bit about kind of how you guys generate revenue and what the average, call it customer honeymoon or wedding costs, and what you kind of take home from that?
Yep. So the average Honeyfund couple raises about $1,600, and we earn that 3.4% on average of that through our both cash kickbacks as well as the digital gift card redemptions. And then we have an advertising department that helps us push up our revenue per customer with partnerships.
Got it. Okay. Max, do you have any questions?
Yeah, could you please speak to the seasonality, if there is any seasonality in your revenue, and also some of the details around the Kevin O'Leary deal, if that's still in play?
Yeah, so seasonality, big wedding seasons are May through October, pushing into November now. Over the last few years, October is the most popular wedding month, and because most of our revenue comes from giving volume, those are the months we make strong revenue. The deal with Kevin O'Leary was a loan that we paid back several years ago, and he has a 2.5% option to stay aligned with us long term. So we still work actively with Kevin.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
Sarah, what do you ultimately want to do with the business? Or what is your kind of end goal target for the business?
Ultimately, I think that this company is a game changer in weddings and in crowdfunding. We want to see the wedding page expand into a lifelong funding page where couples are always have a place to update the people that are closest to them, share what's next in their lives. You can imagine where engaged becomes we're having a baby, and even when the unexpected happens, everyone that knows this couple knows where to go and donate to them.
Okay. Great. And then I think you mentioned in terms of the average revenue per user increase, that mostly is from the gift card program. I think you touched on that.
The first, the 2017 to 18 jump was from that. Now the main thing we're pushing on is customer engagement. So increasing the percent of couples that sign up for Honeyfund that ultimately raise money through it. And we're doing that with proactive customer service. With that strategy, we've already increased that number by 24%, and we're on track to get it up about 50% from 19 to 20.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I have to say, I was like, of course, Mr. Wonderful gave her a loan. Because everybody a loan. But how lucky are you, and congratulations. The chat is very active, so let's keep the audience engagement going. The poll is up. Would you recommend Sarah and Honeyfund to an investor? And Sarah, I was zooming in, and it looks like you have an amazing view from wherever you are. So where are you?
I sit in Sebastopol, California in my home office, and my team is in Tampa, Florida.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So your shelter in place has got an amazing view. So
yes, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, folks, let's vote. A couple more seconds. Would you recommend Honeyfund to an investor? And while we're waiting, just want to remind people that this is one of the many programs that Ureeka is proud to support in our effort to specifically help entrepreneurs who may be disconnected from access to capital and provide that opportunity. So I want to give a shout out to all the entrepreneurs who stepped up, and want to continue to thank our investors who support this. And if you're interested in joining, then please feel free to come to the platform. It is free. Ureeka.biz, join now. We'd love to see you on the other side. And so we are going to close that poll. Thank you again for all who have continued to vote. And I am proud to say last, but certainly by no means least, we have Giselle from Glamlite. And Glamlite is a very interesting company. It is in the cosmetic space, but continues the theme that we started with, which was food, but is in line with Sarah in terms of a focus on self and care of self. And in this case, taking care of yourself in terms of how you look. So Giselle, welcome, and can't wait to hear your presentation.
Hi, my name is Giselle Hernandez, and I'm the founder of Glamlite Cosmetics. Glamlite is the world's first food-themed makeup brand. We create products inspired by some of your favorite foods, such as pizzas, burgers, tacos, and even desserts, just to name a few. The company came about because I've always been a plus-size woman, so I've always was fat-shamed and bullied about my weight. So I decided to just, create a brand that embraces the things that I love, which are food and makeup, and that's how the idea came about. One of the things that we do with our products is that we promote female empowerment as well as body positivity through our products. For example, like every customer will receive a note saying, "You are beautiful and don't be afraid to be yourself." So our brand is all about capitalizing on unique and viral packaging. For example, we have a pizza palette, which is one of our top selling palettes, and it comes in a real delivery pizza box. Our last collection is a cake palette, which comes in a realistic looking oven. And as you can see, we have other things such as like French fry lashes, pizza lashes, which completely sold out in less than 3 hours when they launched. And of course, the burger palettes. So we're all about giving the consumer experience that they'll never forget. Like the minute our customers receives our palette, they automatically want to share with their friends and family members. They want to go on Snapchat, they want to show it up on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube, and which is causing our brand to completely go viral on social media. Due to how innovative their packaging is, as well as how unique the concepts are, we went completely viral on social media. Our products were reviewed by some of the world's largest influencers in the industry, completely free of charge. And like I mentioned before in the previous slide, the customer has become the free marketer because now they're sharing it with so much with their friends and family members that we're growing organically through word of mouth, which means we spent a total of $0 in marketing for last year. However, in December 2019, we won a scholarship with Ureeka, and this was our first time experimenting with paid advertising, in which our brand yielded a result of 17-to-1 ROI for every dollar spent. Now, the beauty industry is a $532 billion industry. Cosmetics account for 17% of that. And the beauty industry is estimated to go to $805 billion by 2023. Now, food, on the other hand, it's a mega industry. It's worth $3.4 trillion. So by creating this food-themed makeup, we're combining two of the strongest, most powerful industries and giving something to people that they've never experienced before. We've never been able to go and buy a pizza palette or a burger palette. And this is what's continuous for us to go viral and growing the brand organically. So when we first started out the brand, we didn't really start off doing food makeup. We were actually trying to do like elegant makeup, which resulted on a mediocre $74,000 for 2018 on our first year. However, in January 2019, we launched our first food-inspired product, and we continue to follow up with that trend by releasing other food makeup products, which resulted in the brand doing $2 million in revenue for 2019. So this goes to show you how powerful the concept of food-themed makeup is, to go from 74,000 to 2 million in sales without any marketing, just organic, just word of mouth, just social media. We're on track to doing 3 million in sales for this year, and our goal for 2023 is to hit $15 million mark. Our profit margin on 2 million is 65%, and we're actually continue on working on that, where we're going to increase profit margins to about 75% for 2020. Our business model is simple. Since we are an e-commerce brand, 65% of all our sales are direct to consumer via our website. The other 35% of our sales come from our retail partners. Our products are currently carried at Forever 21 as well as in over 20 different countries with 30 different retailers. Our customer acquisition as of now is $0. We have grown our social media platform to 342,000 followers, and that's where we gain most of our sales from. 30% of our customers usually come back to make a purchase, and we have a really amazing loyalty program with our followers. So our objective for the brand for this year is to polish the brand so that we can enter a big box retail store, which we know is going to increase the sales dramatically for the brand. We also want to expand our product line to include other face products so that we can become a one-stop shop for all the consumers' makeup needs. Another thing that we're going to be doing with the brand in the next upcoming month is we're going to do something called Glamlite to go. As you may have noticed, some of our palettes are usually on the larger side. They're like ranging about this big. So for our goal will be to do more compact size palettes. They're also going to be more affordable, and that's going to bring an entirely new demographic to our brand. Right now, we're considered high-end because our palettes range anywhere from $40 to $45. If you go into Sephora and Ulta, you will see some of like our competitors like Tarte or ABH or Too Faced. Their products are also in the $40 to $45 price range. So we're actually doing pretty well considering that we are not in big box retailers where people can actually go and swatch our makeup. All of our sales are just coming mostly from the wholesalers in other countries as well as our online sales. Now, with the funding that we are receiving today, one of the things that we want to do is we want to build a real team. As of now, we did $2 million in sales with just 2 people. I'm in charge of all the graphic design, all the social media, all the product development, product photography, everything is on me. And then the other person oversees everything that has to do with operations. The only employees that we have are people that come and pack and just maybe do the cleaning and just small things like that. But with the proper team, we can grow the brands, I'm sure, $5-6 million by 2022. And the rest of the funds will go into running marketing campaigns, as well as product development, warehouse expansion, and funding new products. And that is my presentation, and I hope you enjoyed it. I would love to do business with you, and we hope this is the beginning to an amazing business relationship.
Thank you, Giselle, and just in the nick of time, so appreciate that. And you have some fans on the chat, people who already own your product and are singing your praises. And my daughters now want me to go out and buy your product. So luckily we are quarantined at the moment. Otherwise I'd be dropping this and running to the mall. So congratulations to you. Nick and Max, questions for Giselle.
Yep. Hi, Giselle. Nice to meet you. First of all, congratulations, because a hell of a business in a year, and really impressive. So congrats, first and foremost. Could you walk through a little bit of the kind of supply chain and manufacturing of the products and distribution and how that is all set up today?
Oh, well, we actually work with a manufacturer, and the products are done in the factory, and we are the distributor of the products. But the products are all our ideas, our concepts, and we have a good profit margin because of that.
Got it. And moving forward, though, you still kind of view the DTC business, the online business, as a primary driver of the business, I think you mentioned?
Yes.
Got it. I guess with the manufacturer you work with, is there standards that you have to meet, or you kind of assess them in terms of like ensuring the products are ethically sourced and kind of meet your standards that you're messaging?
Yes, that is correct. All of our products are 100% vegan and cruelty-free. And we also make sure that our manufacturer, we're a very reputable manufacturer that ensures that this continues, for that to be possible, because that's something that's very important to us. We don't have any toxins or any parabens included in our makeup.
Got it. How much, I guess it's kind of hard to tell given the large jump, but how much repeat business were you seeing throughout 2019 from the same customers, or how much of it was from new customers?
Last year we had a lot of new customers because, like I said, it was a whole new.
Yep.
It was our first time doing food themed makeup, so it's like all of a sudden we had 95% new customers coming in, and then now for 2020 we're seeing anywhere from 30 to 50% return customers coming in every month, repeat customers. people are coming to, every time we come up with a new collection, we already have the same as that amount of people coming in to buy the product. It's
Yep.
starting to be kind of like a collector's thing where most people want to own every single product that you have.
Absolutely. And you said 30 to 50? Is that what I
Yes.
did? Okay, great. Great. So, and other than kind of the requests from customers to kind of making travel size kits that you mentioned, has there been like any other requests from them or any feedback loops? Obviously, your content and your Instagram follow, like, it's almost like a self-serving kind of flywheel that's occurring. Any other feedback or like ideas that have been generated?
That's actually the best part about it because we are a social media brand. We get to listen to what the consumer wants. For example, like after we did the pizza palette, they're like, we want a burger palette. After that, we want a taco palette. They're like, okay, now we're ready for dessert. So we literally just do what the consumer's asking for. So we're able to develop our new collection based on what they're asking for. So we already know the product's gonna fly off the shelf because we're giving them what they're demanding.
And is there any geographic trends in where your customers are? I know you mentioned in the deck there's, you're in multiple countries, but any kind of density in certain areas, or is it all over the place?
We have a strong Hispanic following because we actually did a collection called the Via Mexico collection in which we did like taco palettes and taco lashes. So I would say we have about 40% Hispanic demographic, anywhere from like Southern California to like Texas, Arizona, and we're a lot of predominant Hispanic states.
Got it. Great. Max, do you have anything?
Yeah, so congratulations, by the way, on all your success to date. So a lot of the companies we look at tend to actually be unprofitable. So given that you are profitable, what makes you want to raise venture capital as opposed to other sources of money or just bootstrapping the business?
Well, one of the things that we were profitable for last year, but one thing that we're preparing is, I'm sure as you know, when you're preparing to enter a big box retailer, your original purchase order can be up to $1 million cash just to fund, in addition to all the other fees, delivery fees, and logistics fees that are attached to that. So I just wanted to make sure that I was prepared, and that's the reason why I wanted to have extra equity so that when that moment comes, we are prepared and we're not trying to, at the last minute, be able to raise $1 million or, 500,000 at the last minute to fulfill our purchase order.
Great, thanks for the context.
Any other questions, gentlemen? We have about 30 seconds left, so I don't want to shortchange you.
Yeah. Who else? I know you mentioned your team, but what do you feel the big gaps are on your team? Where are you lacking expertise? Where would you like to hire immediately? I know you touched on this, but could you expand a little bit on that?
At this point, because it's only me doing social media, we need a full team dedicated to social media. It just can't be one person. Like we would need someone, for example, to edit tutorials every single day so that we can be actively showing the consumers on how to use different products. And that keeps the consumer motivated and more inclined to purchasing when they're seeing, okay, this new product came out and you're showing me how to use it, you're promoting this other product, as well as someone that's in charge of like running marketing campaigns, whether it's doing the Snapchat ads, the Facebook ads, Instagram ads. And we also have this new system with it we just started out called the PR gifting, in which we send out complimentary makeup to people in the makeup industry, like that do YouTube reviews of the product. And that has been increasing the sales significantly. And it's at no cost to us. We send them let's say a box of makeup for $25 to $30, and they bring in a couple thousand in sales, or even up to 10 to 20,000 in sales. But we need another person that can oversee that, because it is impossible for me, myself, to oversee 500,000 PR packages that are going to be going out, and then also having to oversee product development and the social media campaigns.
Thank you, Giselle. Thank you, Nick and Max. Appreciate that. So we're going to put up a poll again. You can recommend Giselle and Glamlite to an investor. And while folks are filling out that poll, Giselle, I'm sure I know the answer, but I want to make sure that is your makeup that you're wearing, correct?
Yes, that is correct. I am wearing the cake palette. And
okay, the cake palette. Got it.
And the donut lip glaze mixed with tequila lip gloss.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, luckily you were the last one, and I see happy hour in people's near future. So,
we're definitely going to target the happy hour niche, because there's a lot of money to be made in alcohol. So.
Sure, I love it. Well, thank you again. Remember to vote. Would you recommend Giselle and Glamlite to an investor? So thank you very much. And the chats, again, were very lively. Again, too bad we're on lockdown in many places because I think folks would be running to the store. They'd be running to vending machines. They'd be running to buy Jimmy bars. The marriage part, that may be happening too. So I want to give a special thanks to all of our presenters for taking time out of their schedule. It is no small feat to run a business. So we truly do appreciate you. At this time, we're going to ask if there are any last round questions from the judges. Now that you've had a chance to see all the presentations, any last minute questions, Nick or Max?
Yeah, I have a few that I just didn't have time. I mean, there's a million questions, but back to, I guess, presentation one, I think that was Sarah, if I remember the name correctly. What's the what's the shelf life on most of the products?
So all of our products have a 4-day shelf life.
4-day. And you seen any like how much waste is there involved with the locations? I imagine.
Yeah, that's a good question. So we're currently seeing 13% product waste.
Got it. Okay.
And industry standard for context is closer to 23 or 25%.
Interesting. Okay. Got it. Those are two I just I didn't have time to ask, so thank you. Max, any others for Sarah?
No, none on my end.
Awesome. Any questions for Jimmy?
Let me go back to this here. Bless you.
Zoom tight.
Yeah, I guess one question I have. So you're in over 20,000 locations, and how much of that growth in terms of, expanding into new locations has come recently in 2019 or prior to that?
So we are in planogrammed. We're in about 13 to 14,000 locations. Total locations, which includes food service, which is college and corporate cafeteria, et cetera, we're in about 20,000. The majority of that business has happened since 2017. And in all the C stores that you see, like Wawa and Sheetz and Cumberland Farms, et cetera, we're in there for over 2 years. So the way planograms work, I'm sure you know, is you get 1 year to perform or 6 months to perform, and then they re-up.
Thank you.
Other questions for Jimmy? Nope. Awesome. Next up, any questions for Sarah and Honeyfund?
Yeah, just one fault. So I just want to make kind of crystal clear. So with the kind of launch of the new product focused around the weddings, just give me a sense or talk me through kind of your view on how you split your time, across both businesses. Obviously launching a new product on top of one that's already in business is difficult, but how do you think about that? Do you have team members who can help you with both?
Yeah. So I have a team of about 17 people. 6 of them are full-time product development technology staff, including a full-time designer. And so for us, this is more an expansion of our existing product than a completely new product. So we're taking the Honeyfund page and giving it more features. It's a wedding website now, not just a registry. It's a place to register for wedding funds, not just a place to register for your honeymoon or cash as a wedding gift. So it's really more of a product expansion, and so it becomes, a larger product that we all manage.
Got it. Okay. And the anticipated kind of launch of that is when again?
The BQ3 2020.
Got it. Okay. Max, anything?
Which is actually right when all these postponed weddings are going to come back.
Right.
Other questions for Sarah, gentlemen?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Do you think it would be difficult, I guess, ultimately you're trying to expand into sort of just more social giving in general, which is kind of in like GoFundMe's category.
Yep.
Do you think it's going to be difficult to take market share from such a big established company?
I mean, it would be silly if I was like, no, that's easy. But we actually have a sister site called Plumfund, which does, it launched in 2013, kind of around the same time that GoFundMe got started. And we we launched it for all of our wedding couples that were asking us, can we do this for a birthday, for an anniversary, for, you know, retirement? We actually also have a divorce category on Plum Fund. So what we're doing is we're taking that business and folding it back into the Honeyfund page. So the couple is the couple's wedding website, the couple's Honeyfund website is the foundation. It's always cash powered. And then as their life events unfold, the page evolves with them.
Got it. Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions for Sarah? Awesome. I'm going to be praying that everybody stays together in these close quarters, Sarah, so you get those numbers.
Thank you.
Sure. We have a saying in our house, we are ready to miss you. We are probably about 48 hours away from that saying. So I don't think we'll need a divorce page, but you never know. Last set of questions for Giselle and Glamlite. Nick or Max, any questions?
Yeah, I'll pose a question that I asked. I think someone, maybe it was Sarah. What is your ultimate goal for the business? You know, where would you like this to go? What would you like to do with it ultimately?
Sorry, it's not showing on my screen. It's on me.
I can hear you, just for the record.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, so my idea for the brand is that we're going to grow polish the brand so that we can enter big box retailers such as Sephora or Ulta, and that's the ultimate goal. Because once you're in there, you are exposed to so much foot traffic, and the brand grows significantly.
Yep. And have you or anyone on the team looked into any potential debt financing or like accounts receivable financing?
No, we have never looked at that. We are completely self-funded as so far.
Yep. Okay, great. Max, anything?
No.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you all to the entrepreneurs, Sarah of Wellfound, Jimmy of Jimmy Bar, AKA Uncle Belly. Want to thank Sarah of Honeyfund and Giselle from Glamlite. Love them all. Very excited and pleasure to meet you. At this point in time, I'm going to ask each investor to give us a yes or a pass for each of the companies. And so we'll do each company one by one. And so Nick, we'll start with you. What are your thoughts on Sarah and Wellfound Foods?
Yeah, in general, so I would definitely say yes. I mean, obviously, I think it's like a very sound pitch. I think particularly in the vending machine business, there's some clear data-driven, like, you know, strategies around kind of what happens in that box.
Yep.
And if you can kind of figure out that box's formula, then you're a real estate company and you have to get 1 million boxes in the same demographic. So it's very simple, you know, on the surface business to understand financially, which we like. Just as a broad point, you know, at Swan, we look at broad consumer companies and we can be pretty flexible about what that means, whether it's kind of food, wellness, retail, restaurant, et cetera. So I think certainly we would be interested in kind of learning more and understanding a lot of more aspects of the business than maybe 5 minutes allows. So for sure.
Sure, I appreciate that. But the important part is that she made a good enough impression, so we look forward to that continued match. Thank you. I'm going to move on now to Jimmy of Jimmy Bar and ask again, Nick and Max, what are your thoughts? Is it a match or is it a pass?
By the way, and Max, you tell me if you disagree, of course. But so for Jimmy Bar, I think similarly, you know, one caveat with Jimmy Bar, so we invested in a company Kind Bars out of our first fund, and we still own some shares there. So in any businesses that are kind of very, very similar, we always kind of like need the blessing of the CEO of the current portfolio company. But kind of given that caveat, I think certainly this is kind of core to our space, and we would love to kind of learn more and obviously taste some product if we were kind of to continue conversations.
Awesome. Well, I think we can all get some product if Jimmy is still holding up to his commitment. So we appreciate that. Max, you want to add anything? I don't want you to feel left out tonight.
I'd gladly take you up on those free samples.
Love it. Love it. Next up, we're going to move to Sarah and Honeyfund. Nick and Max, thoughts on Honeyfund and the honeymoon, wedding, divorce business?
Look, I kind of sound like a broken record. This one too, I would definitely like to learn more about. I mean, there's just so many questions in my mind about kind of competition and how you position yourselves. We actually, I'm pretty close with Tim Chi over at Wedding Wire, who merged with The Knot. So I've learned a little bit about kind of that side of the business just through Tim. But like, again, in the kind of consumer realm, certainly kind of understand the value proposition. And I think, certainly interesting enough to learn more for sure.
So Max, anything to share?
Yeah, I thought it was a great presentation, very interesting, and something I would love to learn more about, because I, quite frankly, am kind of ignorant of that space to date.
Okay, well, so there's a couple of things I would say to that, but I'm going to keep it all to myself and just say that I trust that your continued diligence will help you personally and professionally. And last but certainly not least, I'm going to ask Nick and Max to give their thoughts of match or pass for Giselle and Glamlite.
Yeah, this one's definitely yes. Again, I think a lot of the times numbers speak for themselves. I think the product and the business here is super differentiated, very cool. I said it already, I'll say it again, congratulations, because what you've done in a year is like very impressive, and not many people can do that. I would certainly implore you to kind of, well, I mean, you do it together, but like certain debt financing, and I think I put my founder hat on, less expensive money to you could be interesting. With that much success in cash flow, I think your equity is going to be worth a whole lot, more than anything else. So anyways, yes is the simple answer.
Awesome. Max, anything to add there?
Well, I agree with everything Nick said. Congratulations. It's very impressive. And I really liked, one thing I thought was great was that you're making the compact size, travel size product. I thought that just shows that you're really taking customer feedback to heart, which just shows that you'll constantly be evolving and keeping up with the market. And that was something that really stuck out to me.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, congratulations to Sarah, to Jimmy, and to Sarah, and to Giselle. And thank you, Nick and Max. I'm thrilled to say we have another 100% match event. So let's see how well the folks, the 40 plus folks that are watching, how well they did. If you, oh, sorry, I misstepped the poll. So before we see if you were right when we did the individual poll, we're going to do one last audience favor. If you were the investor, if you were partners with Nick and Max, or you had your own fund, which company would you select? So we're going to leave that poll open right now and have you all hopefully weigh in and give us a sense if you would vote or invest in Glamlite, Jimmy Barr, Honeyfund, or Wellfound Foods. And while you're filling that out, I'm happy to say that we do have our next event of Ureeka Connect planned. Slightly different from this one. The focus is on seed stage companies, so earlier stage companies who are looking to get on a growth trajectory, and we have a special focus on female entrepreneurs. So if you know any female entrepreneurs who are looking for seed financing, then please have them join the Ureeka community and come to our website, explore under pitch competitions, and go ahead and fill out a form, and we will certainly follow up with you because we would love to have you. Again, our commitment to these events is to make sure that folks have access to capital and get the advice and support they need to be successful. And these are some amazing companies that we saw today. So thank you again for being a part of this to the entrepreneurs. So that's it. We're going to close down the poll in a couple of seconds. So if you were investing, who would you vote for? So let's see if the folks in the audience, and like I said, we have about 45 plus, which is amazing, who have signed on to see you. They decided that all the news was too much and let's look at something that's much more exciting and uplifting. So how did we do with the poll results? Let's take a look at the first set of polls. So for the first set of polls, I have 4 eyes, but I need to make my screen a little bit bigger, so forgive me. So these are the audience results in terms of where people saw opportunity. So 100% said that they would recommend Sarah and Wellfound. 46% said they would recommend Jimmy. 87% they would recommend Honeyfund, and 93% would recommend Giselle. And let me say this to the entrepreneurs, having spent time and still playing an investor, take those numbers as good or bad. I think you got some amazing feedback from the investors, and hopefully, or actually I know, I don't say hopefully, we will still continue to support you at Ureeka and give some additional context, but I think that's a combination of For someone like Giselle, there's probably lots of people who are willing to give you money, and the most important takeaway is get the cheapest cost of capital and that which will preserve your position. I think for Sarah, it's just more people understanding the honeymoon business, and now it's exciting to know that you cover the full end-to-end life-to-death perspective of weddings, honeymoons, and divorces. For Jimmy, you just ran out of time, man, but I think if you send us the samples, we can get that to 150% if we can possibly get that number up there. And Sarah, you had the great benefit of helping us all manage our anxiety during this time of not being able to get to the restaurants we want. And so now can we get that through a machine? So greatly appreciate everyone being a part of this. I want to thank everybody on the Ureeka team for making this stuff happen. Want to again thank you to all the judges, Nick and Max, and mad shout out to you, Nick's. Love the Biggie poster in the back, and to all of you who watched. We are deeply grateful. And last but not least, let's see who the audience favorite was. If I could drum roll, I would, but I can't. And so the audience favorite went to. Is it coming? Is it coming?
Melissa, I can see it. Do you want me to read it out?
Oh, yes, because I apologize. I cannot see it. So please.
All right. So the question was, if you were investing, which company would you select? We have a tie between Wellfound Foods and Glamlite at 46%. And we have a tie between Honeyfund and Jimmy Bar at 4%. To reiterate what Melissa said, it's just a poll, and you got great advice, and we got you're going to talk with investors and continued discussions. So
Awesome. Thank you, Yasha. I appreciate that. So before we go for samples, email jim@jimmybars.com. That is Jim, Jim, @jimmybars.com. And be sure to let us know, and be sure to certainly let Jimmy know how they were. Again, special thanks, Sarah, Jimmy, Sarah, and Giselle. Huge shout out to Nick and to Max. Thank you so much. And to all of you who have joined us, greatly appreciate it. Most importantly, stay healthy. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, everybody. Great meeting all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Bye.